Everybody comfortable?
Yeah.
Get your ass up when I'm talking.
Hey, take it easy.
It's showtime. It's showtime. Yeah. Feel the magic and soul of the YBs. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Take two.
Alrighty, it's time for That Davis Show. I am your host, Kenneth Davis. Follow me at That's Davis on all social media platforms, and follow the executive producer of That Davis Show and also Flipping Friends, the one, the only Ryan Buccaneers. That is Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski 1 on Instagram if you want to see the flesh. His flesh. Look at that. Take it in. Voila! But you know what? It's time to go off top.
Off top.
All right. I want to start off with a little Twitter beef between Senator Ted Cruz and one, the only owner of the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban. All right. So
a Texas state showdown.
It's a good old Texas bang 'em out. All right. So Ted Cruz tweeted out, no, it's not surprising, personally speaking, that this is the first time in years that I haven't watched a single game in the NBA Finals. Go woke, go broke. He hashtagged that if you didn't know, which is pretty bold to say the least. Mark Cuban came at him with a retweet with a comment. A U.S. senator with 3 NBA teams in his state employing thousands of people, and he's rooting for the businesses to do poorly. This is who you are, Ted Cruz. Every minute of your life, this is exactly who you are. Which Ted Cruz replied, I love the Houston Rockets, and I've rooted for them my entire life. I happily cheer for the Spurs and Mavericks against any non-Texas team. But Cuban, Mr. Cuban, the NBA is engaged in a concerted effort to, 1, insult their fans, and 2, turn every game into a left-wing political lecture. That's dumb. Which, again, he put out, Ted Cruz, I wish Mark Cuban loved his fans as much as he loves Chinese money. Cuban replied, shame on me for putting American civil rights and justice, creating injustice and creating jobs and growing our economy and healthcare reform over Twitter proclamations. Also, he was talking about the fact, Mark Cuban was talking about the fact that there's tens of thousands of jobs that the NBA in Texas with those 2 teams keep people employed. And why would you want to sit there and wish poorly on those employees, let alone not the NBA? So little Texas 2-step spat between Mark Cuban and Ted Cruz. Listen, I get what Ted Cruz is saying to a certain extent. Not that, and I think we've talked about it. I'm sure that some of the social justice stuff has turned some people off. That's just the truth of the matter. It has nothing to do with if this is wrong or right. It just has to do with the fact of just looking at things through a clear lens. Everyone doesn't agree with what we agree with, Ryan. If they did, we wouldn't have to have these social justice situations going on right now if everybody would agree with us, because we would all think all Black Lives Matter. I want to say all lives matter. We would actually, all lives matter would be that the appropriate statement because we will be living it. So I get that. But still, for Ted Cruz to sit there and make it seem that it's evil and is wrong and not to talk to why they're doing it is the biggest problem. You should speak to, even if you say, you know what, I don't really like this, but I understand why you're doing it. I think this may not be the place to do it. And we could disagree on that. But to still, when you belittle the narrative and make it so one-sided and make it seem like there's nothing just about it, I think that you're on some BS. Ted Cruz, as usual, is on some BS. What do you think?
Well, I think you're absolutely correct. And, some people have definitely, this goes back to the kneeling. Some people have turned off, the NFL from kneeling all the way back when. And of course, that was all the talk now. And it's silly to me because Ted Cruz specifically, he reminds me of some other people I've heard. I think people just kind of use that as an excuse, like, oh, they're trying to be woke, so I'm not watching. When it's just like, I guess it conflicts with Fox News. And if you're one of those people that, is a Republican, diehard Fox News, you're just going to be like, screw the NBA. I mean, how many times has the NBA and Fox News crossed when Laura Ingraham told them, like, shut up and dribble, and you've got Tucker doing his thing, commentating all the time about the NBA and their, I guess, civil activism. So it's just like, I don't know. It's a convenient excuse for people, I think, to to blame the NBA for having these messages, but nobody would be arguing if it was the messages you want to hear. There's always going to be a pro and a con side to everything.
I totally agree with you, and you're totally on point with that one. If it was what you want to hear, you wouldn't care. And even if you don't like it, you should still see the humanity in it. I think that's the biggest thing. You should still see them. Like, there are plenty of things where it's like, man, I want to do this. I don't really feel like you sitting here talking about this. This isn't what I want to do right now. It still doesn't mean I don't see the humanity in what those people are trying to say. It just really just means that I'm being, I won't say closed-minded, but I'm not paying attention enough or spending enough time with things that are really important because I'm too worried about my own self. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what it necessarily speaks to. All right. So my next off top.
Off top.
All right. So I did see this the other day that Al Michaels and Cris Collinsworth, the NBC Sunday Night Football tandem that calls the games, decided that they didn't like wearing face mask coverings while they're calling the game. Now, mind you, if anybody doesn't know, NFL coaches have gotten in a lot of trouble. They've been fined, and I think there's been a threat of suspension if they're on.
And forfeiture.
Thank you. If they don't have their face masks on. So, and we all know, if you look at ESPN, for instance, you would see ESPN commentators that were inside, like Malika Andrews. You would see Malika Andrews standing outside during the bubble, but she would have a mask on. And, of course, there's no one around her, but the thing is really they're trying to enforce that people should wear masks. So the real thing with Al Michaels and Cris Collinsworth, yeah, one, Al Michaels, you don't want to be around anybody that's got that COVID right now because your pre-existing condition is age, to say the least. I don't know if you have anything else. I'm not saying that in a disparaging manner. I'm just stating facts. But still, it's to really send a message to everyone about what they need to be doing and keep that omnipresent. So just get over it. And I get you don't want to sit there and talk for a couple hours with the mask on. And listen, they're not watching. Well, they are watching. Listen, at least do this. Have somebody single you when they're about to pay to you. Put your mask back on. But I still find it trivial that they decided that this was going to be the hill that they wanted to necessarily die on at this time period of what's going on with the pandemic and situations like that. I found it kind of silly that they would even put that out there. I can understand feeling like that, but I don't think at all I would have let it get out to the nation that that's how I felt. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I guess if I was in their shoes, I would think it's a little ridiculous, blah, 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 all this stuff. But end of the day, you're going on national TV, and whether we like it or not, masks are politicized. It's automatic. If you don't,
is silly.
Right, it is, without a doubt. But that is a fact. That's like humans breathe air. There's nothing around it. Masks are political, whether we like it or not. So automatically, they're being divisive, whether they want to or not. And then on top of it, it's like you pointed out, a lot of people are just wearing it to encourage wearing it. So it's like not a big deal. If I'm wearing it and I'm doing a job of broadcasting, you probably can just wear it going to the grocery store and quit freaking out about it. But when you do these little comments, then it just adds to the fire of the people that are anti-maskers saying, look, see how ridiculous this is? Right. The boys know in the booth.
On the side off top, that David show, me and Ryan here, I did see on some of the news earlier that tomorrow we're supposed to have the debate between the vice president and the vice president nominee, Kamala Harris and Mike Pence. And Mike Pence has refused for there to be any like plexiglass partition to be involved. While
of course
one in the administration is coming down with the Rona, he's going to sit there and stand on, I'm trying to give you this Rona, girl, if you're going to catch it, basically. Even though we know his wife have tested, him and the second lady have tested negative. But still, just like getting along with what you're saying about everything being political, when everyone that was in the Rose Garden basically a week ago caught the Rona, and you want me to sit there to debate with you, and you don't even want to put up a part. Like, dude, I'm done.
Did he have a Christian awakening in the middle of the night that told him no plexiglass?
Oh no!
By the way, have you seen the Kamala Harris preview of the debate? I love her little response. It's like somebody was interviewing her and saying how, the vice president is really looking forward to debating you, and she's like, oh really? Me too.
Yeah, she's gonna smoke. She's gonna smoke him.
Oh, I know. This is the best part for Biden. By the way, one other thing. I am seeing the city of Fox River Grove, our lowly Fox River Grove, flooded with Biden Harris everywhere.
Mm.
I am seeing it in people's yards that I've never seen a political sign before.
Well, listen, we have our own issues, but there's some stuff that's great about this big blue state that we reside in. And to a certain degree, and I mean, it may depend on where you live. I mean, we live on the northern part of it, not taking slights at anyone. But there's a lot of common sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing about the Midwest to a certain degree. It's a kind of a common sense area for the most part. Not to say we don't have some wackos who don't apply common sense, but it's a very common sense area. And even if I bet you even some of those people that may have voted for him, dude, you don't want, it's due to OJ and 9/11. The news has definitely become politicized. And I really don't mean OJ politicized. OJ made it to where they knew they could make money off of it, talking about one thing all day long. They did it with Bush, they did it with George W. Bush. They did it with Obama. Obama, they really did it. And it was every day something about Obama. And they do it with Trump, where it has to be something about Trump every day. That's not to say that Trump doesn't push the storyline and want his name out there, but they do it necessarily they pump it to keep our attention span out there. And what I was getting to is, I think people grew tired of the presidential office looking like a poorly run tabloid show. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't think real Americans, regardless of your party, like that the highest office in the country has been used in the manner and degraded the way it is. And I mean, that's just being honest, man. People, you know.
Man, how could you not watch that debate the last time and think, boy, our country looks silly? Like,
Right.
I texted in the group. I was like, kind of jokingly, China's just rubbing their hands watching, like, I'll take either of these fools at this point. Like, you want to see presidential candidates, not just candidates running for the presidency.
China wants Biden, just so you know.
Hey, I think they're winning either way right now.
Yeah, but they don't want any of these trade deals with Trump. They want to get back to the old ways. But still, you know what I'm saying? I think when getting back to your point about seeing those Biden-Harris posters in people's yards, that it just comes from people are tired. Even if you were tired, if you didn't agree with him being voted in the presidency, Donald Trump, and you were tired afterwards if you voted for him, because it's just been a lot of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's been a lot of bullshit. You know, not to say that sometimes people haven't been trying to get at him, but a lot of it's just his own bullshit. And you get tired of, it's just this, like, business isn't being taken care of. Like, the fact that this dude caught COVID and left the hospital, right? And you got to think about how many people work in the White House. And you know he's not going to sit there and just stay in the personal quarters. He's going to go to the Oval Office. And it's bad enough the people that he already exposed with their trivial stuff that they were doing, risking these people's lives. Then these people are going to get the type of medical attention that you got and get groundbreaking type of whatever they gave him. You know, it's the treatments. They give him groundbreaking experimental treatments. These people aren't going to be getting that type of stuff. It's just the selfishness. And I mean, again, I don't want to turn this into a political thing, but the selfishness has been fucking remarkable. You know, it's just been like, golly. I mean, I knew you were selfish, but man, you put that ish on the moon with, like, I don't care about that. I'm a risk to come out and still play like COVID isn't anything. And that you took that picture right there, standing with no mask on to show straight. Dog, I'm not worried. Listen, FDR was in a wheelchair with some braces on, right? If Charles today, it'd be fine with me with his wheelchair ass. And I'm being facetious. I don't mean to take any shots at people that are disabled. But the point that I'm making is he was showing me strength by how well he's doing his job, not by the damn photo op. Like, it's just. When did the whole presidency become one long ass Mr. America pageant? I guess is what I want to say, where it's basically all just pomp and circumstances, and there's nothing real about what's taking place here. It's all smoke and mirrors for the most part, and that is my political rant for that day.
Man, the apolitical Dabo Sweetie is vomiting right now hearing this stuff coming from
It's funny. Somebody, Dedra showed me some comments somebody left on the Dabo post on YouTube, and they were just upset about, I would never say terribleness about a person because of their political views. I'll say terrible about a person that isn't dealing with right and wrong. And especially if you call yourself a Christian. All right, because if you call yourself a Christian, then live truly by Christian values and not by the ones that you pick and choose. That's it. That's all. I guess we can move on to a lighter subject, and that's the Bears versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, we'll be right back on That Davis Show.
Nothing political with that one.
3rd and 2. Keenum rolling, pressure, throws. He's got a completion and a first down to Davis. The Angels one who stays on his feet somehow, and he's going to race to the end zone and get there.
All right, That Davis Show. Ryan B-Ski on the ones and twos, and me as your host, Kenneth Davis. Ryan Buccaneers, I should say. Let me give you his proper name, all right, so that you know and that you reverence.
Look at me, proper.
His proper name.
A proper
right?
man.
Yeah, we're going to need that when we go to Wakanda. Be like, this is my help, Ryan Buccaneers.
Wait, Wakanda, Georgia, or Wakanda, Africa?
We got to go probably to the Georgia one and get when everything hits the fan, and then get our trip over to the real Wakanda later. You know? And so break to.
I mean, Georgia's by the ocean, right?
Well, Savannah's by the ocean. You know what I'm saying? I think this was north of Atlanta. This place. Listen, I would be more down with the Georgia one if it's closer to the ocean, even though hurricane season, those hurricanes can come up that coast. But yeah. We're going to the Georgia Wakanda. Then we're going to get our papers and go.
Okay, good.
Your papers up, papers.
It's like old school flying to Europe back in like the first international flight. You got to stop in Iceland.
The worst part is going to shock you is when we get on that Zeppelin. Only first class. But anyways.
We'll get there in under a week.
So the Bears are going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Soldier Field this Thursday, the Thursday night game, to get that ass smacked by Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. So we definitely told you, if you didn't see our football wrap-up yesterday, it's out right now, so go check that out if you want to hear what we had to say about this past Bears game and about 3 or 4 of the games from this past Sunday. And also a nice goodbye to Bill O'Brien. We're going to miss you, Bill.
Oh, yeah, I will, because Ken always loved talking about you.
Oh, he's going to pop up somewhere. We're going to be able to get back at him or whatever. But so listen, with this upcoming Bears game in the next day, things I'm looking for first is running the ball. I get that basically with Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles, you're calling 2 different games because one guy is capable, not that he's going to do it, but he's shown and proven he can be capable winning from the pocket where Mitch hasn't necessarily done that. So it kind of leads Matt Nagy into getting back into his let me show you how smart I am. Let me show you how to do this, son, bag, instead of going to the fundamentals, which you can show how smart you are, but you still have to stick to the script and stick to the fundamentals. So I want to see a lot of David Montgomery. I know the addition of Lamar Miller, who was out last season, I believe with the ACL tear, he's on a practice squad, so he's not even going to probably be up for like another week or 2 just so he can kind of learn the playbook and the verbiage or whatever. So you're going to have to sit there and reply on Cordell Patterson, David Montgomery, I guess some Ryan Nall, but you have to stick to the run and you have to take advantage of these tight ends. And listen, I know we say tight ends, Cole Kmet may not be fully up to snuff with everything that's going on this season, but Demetrius Harris and definitely Jimmy Graham, you have to take advantage of them. I want to see more Darnell Mooney. I hate to say it because I think I'm a bit early with this. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit less Anthony Miller. It's inconsistency, and I know that pass that was turned into an interception, then he got his hands on it, may not necessarily – it wasn't a clean pass, but it's just getting to the point. I would rather the second amount of reps out of our top 2 receivers, I would rather the second amount fall to Darnell Mooney. What were you about to say, Ryan?
Yeah, what do you think about maybe benching him a little bit because of how inconsistent he's been? Like how we talked about before, the ropes are off of Mitch, the training wheels. Mm-hmm. Like Anthony Miller is pro at this point. Like he's played enough. Do you think maybe you send a message like, hey, this is unacceptable to the locker room?
Your receiving core isn't good enough to bench him because he's –
well, what if he was 4th on the depth chart? He's still playing, but like you said, cut back on his reps.
I will cut back on his reps. I want to see
because in a way that's a benching, right?
That's what I was going to say to you. When you see you're not getting the same amount of reps, it's sending you a message that we don't trust you. I think that's what you need to do. But I don't think your receiver room isn't strong enough to have him just out of the game. I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? But I would like to at least see Mooney, and I know this has happened this season already. I want to see Mooney have more snaps than Anthony Miller right now. I want to see a game plan with Mooney. And listen, that's not to say that he's perfect whatsoever, but that's definitely what I want to see. So yeah, Matt Nagy has to, steer this ship, especially against this team. This isn't the type of team you can play around with. This isn't even the Colts as far as offensively what they can do to you. And we know they have some injuries, but still they have a load of talent. And you have one of, if not the greatest quarterback of all time at the helm, and a pretty ingenious offensive play caller in Bruce Arians. So this game is going to tell us. It's going to tell us something. It's going to tell us about how well you can adjust from losing, right, and try to get back on it. Now, I don't think they're going to win, but still, if they come out here and give a strong performance, I think it will tell us as far as the adaptability, how they sat there and saw their flaws in this past week's game, or this past Sunday's game, not this past week's game, this past Sunday's game, how they adjusted to that, but also adjusted to what they thought they were going to be getting facing the Tampa Bay Bucks. And then I will call that a moral victory, to say the least. But if they come out and it's flat or flatter than the game they played in Soldier Field against the Indianapolis Colts, man, it's going to be bad business Friday. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be upset.
Thursday.
No, I meant the next day after.
Oh, okay.
All right, when you wake up and you're like, I can't believe that happened. Did I watch all of that? Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Don't call it.
Right? So that's definitely what I'm looking for. And now, look, that pass rush now, it's no time to be playing. Now, you had a stationary quarterback last week. You didn't get to enough. Tom Brady better be on his back. All right, if you're sitting there, let Tom Brady do his due, it's a wrap. So on both sides of the ball, but on the defensive side, you're going to need a pass rush. I know you saw the injury report. I don't know if you saw the injury report for just the Bears or the Bucks. I don't know if Leonard Fournette is back. Do you know if Leonard Fournette's going to be playing?
He is not practicing so far.
Because you don't want none of that. You don't want none. How they're different.
You don't want a good running back running against this Bears?
Not a hammer. You don't want a hammer. All right, like to wear them down. Like, man, I don't feel like tackling him no more. I'm happy he's not going to be involved in this because they were getting beat by anybody in the first place, by beaten by a guy that physically can, if you're on the defensive side, hurt you by you tackling him. You don't want any of that type of smoke for him. He's
a game time decision at this point.
Well,
that's what Bruce Arians said today.
I hope it's enough. So, yeah, man, this game is coming real quick after a loss, which some would say could be a good thing, but I would think it's going to be a bad thing because I heard somebody say Tampa Bay is the best team in the NFC today on ESPN. I can't remember who it was. But no, I think it was Jeff Saturday, maybe. I think it was Jeff Saturday.
Go figure.
Why? Why would Jeff Saturday have to be?
He just seems like a total Tom Brady fan.
Okay, he beat me so much, man. I love him.
Right. I respect the hell out of him. He's the greatest.
Sorry, Peyton. But
there's only one other quarterback I would have centered for, and that's Tom Brady.
There's only one quarterback where I want his hands between my thighs. Is that Tom back there?
He put that right pressure just like Peyton did.
But, yeah, so this isn't a team that you need to be playing with. This is a team that you need to have. You need to have time possession. You need to be running the ball and keeping that offense off the field. So that's another reason that they need to run the ball. But, yeah, this is a Matt Nagy game for him to show us that he can steer this ship straight when they've been in a little bit of troubled waters, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree with a lot. Basically everything you're saying. I can't poke any holes because I said it yesterday to you. I think the Bears are going to show us their ass over these next 4 games, and it starts with Tom Brady.
The whole ass a half,
plumber's
crack.
It might be like the moon. Like we might get a quarter this game. It might end up being a full moon at the end. But we might start out with a full moon. We might get a full moon Thursday. I mean, stop me if you've heard this before. Bears probably a little bit overrated record-wise based on what we've seen on the field. Go into a big-time, prove-it kind of statement-like game on national TV against a great quarterback. How often does that work out well for the Bears? Never.
No, probably like 25% of the time.
At best.
You know, like
At
maybe
best.
maybe 30. I've seen like they beat the triplets like that from Dallas. I've seen them do that. I've definitely seen them probably do it to Aaron.
Like the flashes I'm getting is Aaron Rodgers embarrassing the Bears and Phil Embry, Mark Trestman are about to be fired. Like this is where we see a lot. Like Matt Nagy, you only got a few days to get this team forgetting that loss and doing something offensively. I don't know what the hell is going to happen there. Defensively, they're a really solid bend, don't break type defense. But, man, like Phillip Rivers, he's not necessarily a great quarterback. Like Tom Brady, he can shred you up. Like
he was a great quarterback. He was a great quarterback.
That Chargers defense is solid as hell, and they just got ripped to shreds by him. And that's the other scary thing. Tampa Bay is playing their best. Like they started out slow, then they beat the Broncos, and now they're really coming on strong, especially after this last victory against the Chargers. Like this is, I think, not the time you or how you wanted to play the Buccaneers if you had a choice being the Bears. So to me, this all sets up for Bears embarrassment, which I think maybe is a good thing because they usually, when they're set up for embarrassment, that's when they show up.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a game where we like, oh, that's the Bears we thought we were going to see. Back to 2019, back to all this stuff.
Let me get that score then since you're talking that type of trash.
I'm very conflicted. I don't know exactly how I would go. I got to go with Tampa. Like, I do like the idea of the Bears being the underdog. I'll say that. Like, I think that really plays with that locker room. It plays how Matt Nagy kind of inspires his locker room. Like, it's us against the world. It's a family. We got to come together. But I'll still go Buccaneers, and I'll say, how about 25-16?
Okay, that's not bad. I'll give the Bucs 30 up on the Bears, and
I wanted to give the Bears defense some respect. I'm probably giving too much respect to the Bears offense. But man, if you can't score 60, and this Bucs team, I heard this stat from Brad Biggs. If you want to know something a little scary, but going into last week's game against the Colts, the Bucs were even better against the run than the Colts were statistically. And now the Colts took over first place because of what the Bears
did, not running the ball. So now guess what?
So
Tampa's going to jump back into first place after
run
the ball again.
And I'm telling you right now, key matchup, whoever the speed guys that they have coming off the edge going against Charles Leno, he struggles with speed guys big time.
I think he struggles with everybody.
Yes, but it's notorious speed guy struggler.
Yeah, you got to do something about that dude. But, yeah, I think I would say Tampa 30, 31, Bears.
Dang, like you think the Bears defense is going to give up that much?
Man.
Because, okay, hold on here. Let me give you an injury report for all the folks.
Give it to me.
Mike Evans did not participate in practice at all so far this week. Neither has Leonard Floyd. Neither has Chris Godwin.
But with a bum ankle, I would think that Evans is probably going to go, but there's no reason for him to practice on that ankle right now, especially in a short week, I would think.
True.
I think he's see, this is the thing. I would think he's going to play, but they may look at the Bears and be like, man, y'all get y'all rest up. We'll take care of this. Rich.
Yeah. I think that's part of it too. Like,
we will see.
Chris Godwin has a hamstring. I would think he's probably not going to go. If he's not participating in practice whatsoever with a hamstring this short of a week. LaShawn McCoy's not practicing with an ankle. Like, Jason Pierre-Paul might not be there, which would probably be a benefit to this pass protection. So the injury report does work better for the Bears. That's been their advantage basically every week of this season.
When you say Jason Pierre-Paul, my first thing that comes to my mind is digits. Digits.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore that.
Just makes you not want to play with fireworks anymore.
I mean, to be fair, who did want to play with fireworks in the first place? Let me light this off my hand.
I just want to know what exactly type of firework did he have? Did he have like an M80 in his palm? What was in his hand? Well, I know it just couldn't have been a regular old black cat because I've held on to several of those twisted together and only had like little blood clot looking things in my fingers and couldn't hear my ear.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought an earlier story before he blew up his hand was he got a U-Haul full of fireworks before the show, which ended in blood and digits being lost.
Right, dude. We should do an episode on athletes with huge allotments of fireworks because you remember the Arenas like in a pickup truck.
Oh, yeah.
Right, getting pulled over with the gang full of like just man. Listen,
I thought
fireworks.
I thought you were gonna say we need to do a podcast, like an in-depth, like CSI, how Tony did with Jordan's dad on the digits. What happened that fateful night?
At this point, his middle finger flew into the air. Jason Pierre.
Remember Adam Schefter like screenshotted his medical charts and everybody was mad at Shefty for a while for doing that?
No, I didn't. I don't even remember that part. That kind of is messed up though. But like leave me in my digits. But that was crazy. But still, getting back to like what you were saying, as far as edge rushers and speed merchants coming at poor Charles Leno Jr. Man, it is what it is, and that's who they put out there. I mean, at this point, for Ryan Pace to be who he's supposed to be, and you haven't at all found in the later rounds, and I'm not talking about the back end of the draft, but even the middle of the draft, someone serviceable to be a threat from Charles Leno. I mean, I think we all are like okay with Bobby Massey, but the fact that your left tackle, your more important tackle, it gets beat off in the last year, was jumping off the ball like it was going out of style. And, I mean, you got to think how many times you're losing because of those penalties, let alone because he's letting your quarterback get sacked and hit or pressured, that you should have done something about it. But that's a discussion for another day, perhaps around the draft. Speaking of which, our boy Trey Lance was like, forget you. Time to go.
Man, I'm going to be so bummed if they don't get him. So bummed.
The hell? You got the kid down in Florida. There's some guys that may knock him down now.
Justin Fields, too.
Yeah, well, Justin Fields is going to be drafted ahead of him anyway, I believe. Just because he's playing in the Big Ten, people are going to look at it as more validation that he's playing at
I would think so.
So I think it's going. I think it's definitely Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, then who? But you got I don't know if it's Matt Kirk. Remember the kid's name? Has a nice arm down in Florida. He has a chance.
Yeah, the Miami guy too.
Yeah, you got the kid that transferred from Houston.
Right.
De'Aaron
King, I think.
King, yeah. But he's short.
Bernard King or something.
Yeah, something. D King something, which is terrible on both of us. But he.
Well, earn it, kid.
You're right. He's 5'10", though, but we know that doesn't matter as much as it used to. So
bring the U back, and then we'll get your name right. How about that?
Right. So I mean,
man, can I tell you? I'm like so depressed. We're back at just quarterback ground zero with the Bears all over again.
Well, I mean,
it's just
didn't we know that when they drafted me?
Yeah, but reality has really slapped me across the face.
I feel like we knew that, though. I feel like we knew that this.
Well, do you ever live in bliss? No, you never heard of that?
Briefly.
Gain some ignorance, my friend.
Briefly, in 2018, when Mitch was scrambling, and it was like, listen, he may not be great, but Shorty in those feet, we may be able to get somewhere a little bit. But then again, he turned back into being Mitch, and we are what we thought we were, which is sad to say the least.
Let me ask you something. Do you think Mitch could have done anything different if they went to him, bench Foles, and went to Mitch in that game against the Colts? Because some people are believing that, or at least thought that.
Those are just the Mitch truthers. No. What was he going to do? Run and get cracked open? I mean, that defense was pumping. All right, listen. I'm not saying the Colts defense are world beaters, but they was beating the crap out of the Bears this past Sunday. All right, so no, I don't think he would have played better. I mean, they wouldn't have got 11 probably if Mitch was out there.
Is it? I think it's De'Aaron King.
Yeah, that De'Aaron King.
De'Aaron
King or the King. De'Aaron. We'll see. But anyway,
where's D when you need him?
There's a chance that Trey Lance may end up falling to the Bears depending on where they're at. Picking in the teens, I think the Bears are probably going to be probably picking like number 17, maybe 15, or maybe 13, 17, I would say.
Well, who the hell knows? Because they don't really have many easy games left. Like, it's Detroit. I'm not buying that Minnesota's going to be terrible when the Bears see them.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, like, look at Carolina's supposed to be one of their easy games. I don't know if that's an easy game. They've given a lot of people trouble so far this season.
Hey, you see running a little bit of what's the name? Teddy Bridgewater with the run game escaping. He was like, forget this knee my ass.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. It's like, I'm the new Christian McCaffrey.
Teddy, we need you to play both.
Exactly. You heard of Cam, right? You heard of Cam. But yeah. So man, listen, this game better be entertaining. Let me say that much. It better be entertaining and it better be competitive. I don't know if it's going to be the latter, which is competitive. I don't know. I think it'll be entertaining because even if the Bears are getting kicked, it'll be fun. Tom Brady and Bruce Arians are doing it. But I don't know if it's going to be a competitive game. And I think that speaks a lot to the Bears and their coaching. I think the defense, again, they're playing some solid football. I don't believe, and I know I said this on the football show, I don't believe Chuck Pagano is maximizing that talent. I don't. But there's still, you can say that there's few things that Chuck Pagano can do because you're worried about if you're sitting there and you're blitzing or something that you may give up a touchdown and that offense may not be able to put the points back on the board. But still, I don't think Chuck Pagano's maximizing the talent. But offensively, they're woeful. And to be honest with you, they've been woeful all year. They just got hot in quarters. But offensively, it's been hit or miss, and it needs to be a lot more hitting than missing. And you have legit players now. They're not necessarily, man, you don't have Kansas City skill players, but you got these guys are way better than adequate. You know what I'm saying? Like you got some pieces now that you need to accentuate and you need to maximize and you need to necessarily use them. You know what I'm saying? And stop going to the well with screen passes and end arounds that the league has seen you do for 3 years now, and you're not fooling anybody with that. Put that back in the bag. Use that when really you're not using it, and then you spring and it's like, oh, I forgot they did that. Because no one is being shocked or fooled when you pull those plays out. It's just time to maximize some other pages in the system. I know.
But can they do it?
No, they can't. But we'll see. Listen, if Nick Foles can lead them to a victory over a team that's looked at as being able to get out of the NFC South, man, that starts to speak to something. Even though, like you said, the next game, listen, they'll win this game, which I don't think they will, and then lose to Carolina the following week, and we'll be like, wait, what's going on? So,
but I do think it would be a big deal if they won this game because this is a legitimate test, and right now they're 0 for 1 on legitimate test teams. Mm-hmm. So beating a good team early, I think, would do a lot of things for this team. But you've already hit, I think, on two of the biggest keys. You got to be able to run the ball, and you got to be able to get some pressure on Tom Brady to try to force some takeaways. Like, if this game is going to be about, like the Bears sometimes getting some pressure, being only okay against the run, but solid in the red zone, and then just woeful on offense, hey, what are we talking about here? Like,
that's all.
They don't have big play potential. Like, they have more of it with Nick Foles, but you got to get that run game going. You got to try to get play action going. Like, it's not like Nick Foles comes in here and we just abandon the run. And that was probably, and we talked about, just so frustrating for Matt Nagy. So can he learn from that? Because another thing that we talk about all the time with simple football, when you run, you keep the other team on the other side of the field. And that's what they got to do too. Like, at least what they did with the Colts was keep time possession somewhat close. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm afraid Tom Brady is just going to be holding on to that football and making this day so long.
That's what I'm saying. Look, I was trying to get to that with Ryan Hall. You need to keep that offense off the field. I'm referring to Tampa Bay's offense. You need to own time possession is what I was getting to earlier. You really, really, really need to, because you're going to play your defense by having them out there getting hit bit by bit, then long hit by Tom Brady. Like, this is the game plan going in, is to make sure we win the time of possession against this team and keep Bruce Arians and his favorable side as far as offense off of the field for as long as possible in this Thursday night game. All right? We're going to come back and we're going to go up for grabs on that Davis show.
We approach 4 minutes to play in this opening quarter. 2nd and 9. Buccaneers driving again. Brady intercepted. Picked off by Davis. And Davis is going to go all the way. Pick 6. Touchdown.
That Davis show is time for the segment of all segments. By a legend of all legends. A GOAT. I finished watching Game of Zones. It hit me today. I was like, let me see if there's any new episodes of Game of Zones, or new to me, rather. So I went and watched, finished all the Game of Zones. So the GOAT of all GOATs, Ryan Buccaneers and Ryan B. Skeet.
Keep going. Keep going.
Wait, real quick, did you finish watching Game of Zones?
No, I did not.
I don't want
need
to
watch it.
I don't want to ruin it. All right, so it's time to go up for grabs with Ryan Buccaneers. Ryan, what you got?
Well, since you brought up Game of Zones, let's do a little basketball to start. And pretty simple. I don't think anyone here believes that the Lakers are at all in jeopardy. So it's so minuscule. We're talking like 0.1 maybe percent at best. But what have been your overall impressions from this finals, and anything that maybe the fans or you take into next season for the NBA?
Yeah, Ted Cruz was right what he said in the opening. No, I'm joking. You know what? I've enjoyed the bubble. You know what I'm saying? I can say I've enjoyed the bubble. It would be good to get back to where there's fans involved in it, just to get that roar and get that intensity, and also find out who some of the players who played well and what Scottie Pippen called
Jamal Murray.
Right? How many of those guys are really real, to say the least, and warrant for the Pacers. But yeah, with the the problem with the finals is just the wrong team. Even though I don't know what Eastern Conference team would have really given the Celtics any really good gusto. I would say the
Lakers or the Celtics?
I'm sorry, the Lakers. I would say probably the Celtics, but the Celtics didn't have any bigs. But I think offensively they had better They had better skill players offensively, but their lack of bigs would have been their undoing. And the rest of them would have gotten undone in general. Even if Milwaukee would have made it, if they didn't, they wouldn't have had enough. I think it's just a bad matchup. It would have been probably even more interesting. I know we all would have been upset if Denver would have gotten there and to see them play these teams, because it would have been more even keel as far as the talent on those teams. Even though I would say Denver has more talent than the team that would have come out the East, even if let's just say that was the Heat. But I've enjoyed it. I haven't been really locked in to the finals, I hate to say, because it's kind of like a fait accompli, and it's just like handing LeBron his trophy. You know what I'm saying? I know we knew that we wanted to see who we wanted to see in the Western Conference Finals, because we viewed that mostly as being the finals this season, and that was the Battle of LA between the Clippers and the Lakers, and the Clippers basically didn't show up or want to show up, so they left. But yeah, I've been cool with it for the most part. It's been some really good basketball. I've seen some stuff where I forget how many whoa nights there were in the bubble, from Luka dropping the Clippers, from Jamal Murray doing what he did. I mean, there have been some nights where it was like, whoa. So,
yeah.
And again, and it led to, another thing that was great about the bubble, it led the way for all sports to come back. Just like the NBA shut down all sports by doing the right thing, they did it the right way with nobody inside of the bubble as far as the players contracting coronavirus. But it brought us back baseball. I'm sure baseball's going to come back anyway, but it helped bring us back baseball and football. It set the standard to bring these other sports back, to give me and you something to talk about when we're sitting here doing a sports show. So people detract us at the bubble, whatever. But yeah, I've enjoyed the bubble. And I mean, we may have to have a bubble again next year. I'm trying to read all these articles in The Athletic about what's going to probably take place. I didn't get a chance to get to them today. I think with Michelle Roberts, the NBA Players Association president, trying to read all these.
Was that who old boy Beverly told to shut up? And that
told her that I pay your paycheck or whatever. Patrick Beverly, West Side's finest. Yeah, he was being disrespectful to say the least, and he should be quiet. But yeah, I want to find out how much money these players are going to give back. What are they going to do? Are the NBA owners going to be forced to use their force majeure, where they could just rip up the damn CBA? I think that threat alone compounds the players to figure out and get something done. Yes, you're not going to get all your money, but I think they're also trying to sit there make sure that the salary cap doesn't deflate, so that players like a Giannis and these players that are coming and Anthony Davis that are coming up on getting their contracts don't have to lose as much money as you would think in this situation where you don't have fans going through your turnstiles in your stadium.
Yeah, I definitely liked the bubble. I enjoyed the experience. I'm with you. I don't know how much of it was real, because I do think fans matter somewhat, but I don't want to go overboard. They're not the end all be all. Like home court advantage, we're basically coming to the conclusion that it doesn't matter that much, but it does have an effect. The one thing I just kind of come away with, and maybe it's ridiculous NBA meatball of me, I would revisit the realignment thing. Like, the East is just so pathetic. And without that battle of LA, I'm just like, I feel empty. I feel like we didn't get anything out of these finals.
Listen, if you want to do it during this, I wouldn't have been as upset. But as a person that resides in the East, forget that. All right? I want a representative from this side of the country. Plus, another thing, you may sit there and lose. You may lose fans depending on it's a bad, small market team in the East, but you may lose fans from one half of the side of the country that aren't ardent basketball fans, NBA fans. But I still like it. I get why, and you're correct in the fact that the East needs to step up his game. But you know what? I put it like this. I don't think it's time to do that when there are Eastern teams that look like they're on the rise, depending on what Milwaukee's going to do. Depending on who's going to be.
Oh, Giannis is leaving Milwaukee.
We'll see. Because, if the owners are saying they're going to go into the cap and they're basically going to trade Chris Middleton and see what they can get, if the owner's going to do that, the Celtics have a lot of young talent. But listen, now Miami's back on the map as far as being a place where perhaps a free agent will never go, because who wants to be the lone guy down there? But now they got a team. You know what I'm saying? So if you like that culture, you may be like, you know what? It's Miami, and I like that culture. I don't think this is the same as 3 or 4 years ago, where it was like, man, the East, all it is LeBron and nobody else really. The team's on the come up. So I think that's another reason why I wouldn't reseed if we're in a regular situation. But it wouldn't have been as bad to reseed in the bubble, since it's kind of was like trying new things, kind of like what the MLB did with having 16 teams make the playoffs this year and having a DH in the National League, the Universal DH. I think it would have been a time to see if you could necessarily do it. But still, and see the thing. But this is the thing too. My last point: you're basically telling Eastern Conference owners that you're going to lose money, because you're telling me that I'm not going to get to go deep into the playoffs. I'm not going to make all that extra money for my team, especially if we have fans in the stands. And who's going to say that because they want to see better basketball? Well, like, if I'm an owner, you're not taking money out of my mouth so you can have some better basketball, man. I'm gonna eat.
It always comes down to money. What about just top 16 then? No realignment, top 16 teams get in.
It's still going to be West Coast. Going to be like
no way.
West Coast teams getting in. Well, see, but the problem with that, the good part is the West Coast teams beat up on each other. But it's still like, dude, just listen, if you're going to really do it right, just give some incentives, financial incentives for players to go play out on the East Coast. Be like, listen, man,
oh, God.
We'll put 15% on top of that, man.
And you're just talking about the owners wanting to get money, and now they're going to pay an extra 50.
The league, this is coming out the league's revenue. The owners don't have to worry about it.
The league is like the government. They make money.
We're going to put 15 on that. You're getting 150, put 15% more on top of that. I get the reason why you should do it, but as an Eastern Conference rider, I don't want to see it. Like, I don't want.
I want to get off the ride.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm tired of this Eastern Conference.
Get off the ride.
When's the last time the East was strong?
When the Bulls were good.
Yeah. It's been when the Bulls are good, LeBron, nothing.
Yeah. LeBron had to go through. We got to think. They did have at least 3 to 4 really good teams for a period when LeBron was first cooking. So you had the big three. You had the starting five of the the Detroit Pistons. Who else did you have?
Basically Detroit, and that's about it. I mean, Toronto was a pest for a while, but
you had Atlanta team that record-wise had the best record.
Right. And then they played
Toronto,
LeBron and got swept.
And the same with Toronto, where LeBron would just spank their butt and send them on their damn way. But
is it really a series when you just get swept out of your friggin' mind every time you see LeBron?
Not really. It's like you see him coming off the bus, and next thing you look down at the player's ankle, and there's a little stream of urine coming down.
Yeah, that'd be like seeing like the Bears at 6-1 playing the Chiefs and being like, "Oh, I'm betting Bears."
Oh, I was drinking right there. But yeah, I don't want to do realignment. What else you got for grabs, Ryan?
My last up for grabs, want to do a baseball question. Since both of our teams are eliminated, was just kind of curious what would be your ideal World Series matchup given the teams that are still left contending.
That's a good one. One against Dodgers, Yankees.
Oh my God, I want those Padres to destroy the Dodgers round one.
He whose name should not be spoken. I'm good. Listen, at one point I will get over this, and I will root.
You know what you should do? You should play that song, Fernando.
Oh, you came and you showed me.
That'll get you over it.
No, I will one day watch Fernando Tatis Jr. with a big grin on my face, just looking at the superb athlete that he is and how jovial he is too. He brings levity to baseball. Seems like good energy to baseball. But
it's a good thing you're going with those crusty old Dodgers instead.
Right now, I'm not over it. Listen, you got Kershaw's actually dealing in the playoffs right now. All right, put some respect on his name.
I can't stand the Dodgers.
I don't see why. I mean, they haven't won.
Because after the Cubs fiasco with them for 3 years, I'm over them.
It's the Dodgers, man. It's time, dude.
Whatever.
Listen, if they win,
hey,
guess what?
Fans, mark this. If the Sox lose a series next year, let's see if Ken likes that team moving forward.
Look, no, I'm not. But listen.
Right, so I can't stand the Dodgers.
If we get the Dodgers and they win, there's a chance that a decade from now, we won't have to keep seeing this of Kirk Gibson rounding the bases with his bum.
Oh, I love that highlight. It's like the Knicks Graney highlight for their championship. Brings a big smile to my face. Like, yep, that's the year, and that's the last time, you piece of blank.
You're terrible.
So, if you are a Chicago sports fan,
who do you want the Padres to go up against in the World Series then?
Okay, not necessarily rooting for the Padres. I would be fine with Padres or Braves. Either one of them. Mm-hmm. Forget the Marlins, forget the Dodgers. Hope they both just I won't
the Marlins? You upset with the Marlins from something 20 years ago, basically?
And today, or last week, yes.
Yeah, hey, that wasn't their fault. Y'all just wet the bed.
Okay.
Doing their job.
I'm going to hold you to this standard if the White Sox ever lose in the playoffs.
Wait. That's like they did, actually, last week. And
you're okay with it because this was the bonus year. What about the year that matters, and then you lose, and tell me you like that team moving forward? Tell me that. You lose in the ALCS.
Probably not.
Don't you tell me.
We'll see, though. If I got a lot of respect for that team, no. Because listen, the Packers have kicked my team in the teeth, and I've still rooted for them.
Oh God, you're making me sick. Let me pick my AL team.
Go ahead.
I actually wouldn't mind the Yankees being there.
I bet your ass will. So that Empire's fine, but the other Empire's.
Well, I hated the Empire, but then Boston kind of beat that Empire's ass down, and now they're kind of okay because they haven't won in over a decade, so they're okay.
I think that's something when you say somebody hasn't won in over a decade, and it's like they're supposed to win. This is like, damn, it must be nice to live in that type of world.
Yeah, we talk about as much as I would love that world, I would rather be in the Packer or the quarterback world where every week we got a shot. That's the world I want to live in.
I'm with you. Because you know what? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's cool if your baseball team, and I'm not saying about the Yankees today. I'm really talking about like the Yankees in the 90s, the late 90s, and maybe like the Yankees teams, like Yogi Berra's Yankee teams that were winning titles. That it's cool, but you kind of take it for granted to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't even watch every game because you're like, we gonna win anyway. It's just like but like what you said with football and a quarterback, and it's 1 week, it's one game a week. You only got 16 times to see him in the regular season. That is, if you don't make it to the playoff, 16 times to see him sit there and show you his wizardry. And so it's something different. Like I'm with you, dude. Oh, man, listen.
Would you rather have a franchise quarterback, not the best? Patrick Mahomes is still alive, and he's baby goat. So you got a franchise guy or the best player in the NBA on the Bulls?
Best player in the NBA on the Bulls.
Oh, that's the world, huh?
No, it's not that. Because this is the thing. That franchise quarterback is just really cool and dope. But we've seen teams win without it. You really can't win a title without the best player in the NBA.
Well, what if he's a franchise quarterback top 10, but he's in 5 through 10? You
told me he's not.
5 through 10.
You said the best player in the NBA. Did you say that?
Yes.
Dude, I don't know if you – I'm going to tell you this. I watched a lot of bad Bulls basketball. I watched the Bulls from hardcore, at least from 90 – about 1990, 91, probably when I really got my basketball mind on. But I say the late 80s, but really then. So through all of that, even with a rebuild, being like, you know what, it's cool. Let's see how this team – like, growing up, we was never, for me, for the most part in the 90s, we weren't high draft players. So you knew we weren't going to get these players that you saw playing college and be like, man, it'd be cool to be on my team, but we're winning titles, so forget it. So, all right, rebuild. This is going to kind of be fun to be on the other end. And it dragging on forever. Being happy, they trade Elton Brand and go with 2 kids, which was a bad mistake, not to trade, but going with 2 kids and not having one proper vets and a proper coach to kind of bring them up. Because these kids are going to be out here, they got $1 million in their pocket. You're going to have to raise it up. I'm talking about Eddie Curry and Tyson Chandler. To getting them looking good with Luol Deng, Ben Gordon and Kirk Heinrich, you know what I'm saying, the high ceiling, the high floor guys. And then when you saw Derrick Rose become a superstar, being like, oh, I forgot what it is to turn on my local TV and see this every night. This is totally different. No. A top 5 NBA player, man, it's something different, Ryan. And you said the number.
I'm with you.
Player, it's something. Listen. And I've experienced that before. Like, I've experienced walking into the stadium like, wait, listen, it's not even fair. Listen, you know what, Michael Jordan, the GOAT? Because if you're a LeBron fan, you've walked into some series like, he may not be able to do this. And I mean after he already started winning, where it was like, he may not be able to pull this off. Once Mike started winning, that was like, dude, listen, there was times where the Bulls may have been down 2-1 in the series, and that fourth game, they were down majority of that game. Like when we were talking about like that Charles Smith block thing 2 weeks ago, like the Bulls were about to go down, like the Knicks were about to go up like 3 wins or something. And the Bulls have like lost the first 2 games of that series or whatever. And that was like 2-3-2 playoff series back in those days. And the Knicks may have had a better regular season record because every time the Bulls did a three-peat, they would have the best record, and then they wouldn't get as many wins those next following 2 years or whatever. But so I've been there, and that dude walked out with blood on his sneakers and his opponent's head in his hand. And it's something, it's just too much. So if you're telling me, because I've had it, so I don't know what you're talking about when you're talking about this quarterback stuff, Ryan. I've never experienced. I don't know how those people live on the other side of the tracks.
Well, that's why I was curious. Maybe you would pick the unknown, but you want the grass over here, not on the greener.
A former owner of BET, Robert Johnson, was on CNBC, I believe, and he was talking about the presidential debates. And they asked him, what would your preference be? And he said, the devil that I know. He said, when you're in business, you want to basically go off of what you know to take place. So basically he said he prefers Trump over Biden because he doesn't know what Biden's going to do as a businessman, right? So I disagree with him But I'll say this much. I'm going to go with what I do know, and I have seen the having, like, I always think.
So that's the drug of choice, huh? That's what's getting the vein.
Jordan! but look. I always think about hearing, like, Billy Crystal talk about being growing up in New York and sitting there and having Mickey Mantle, watching Mickey Mantle play, and you hear people talk about it, and it's like, I don't know what that is. And having, at one point, Willie Mays on the other side of the street, I forgot who the guy was that was what's the name? The Giants player at the time. I forget, because the Giants had a great player too. It was like the holy trinity of those three before the Giants, and not the Giants. Who moved out? What, the Dodgers?
Yes.
The Dodgers is what I meant to say. But when I hear him
didn't the Giants move out there too?
Yeah, they had. That's what I'm saying. The Dodgers and the Giants moved out there, but the Dodgers had a great player too at that time. I forget what he was. I think he may have been the center fielder for the Dodgers. Can't remember. But this is when New York was owned by Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. And I always think about it as growing up having Michael Jordan. And it's like on Channel 9, dog, it was free TV. I didn't have to turn on TNT because I'm in another state. And this is the only time I could see Michael Jordan. I used to see Michael Jordan on free TV, on NBC, for the triple, double, and triple headers.
Oh,
so dude, it was crazy. Like, it was crazy. So yeah, give me that back, because I know what that is, man. This Bears angst, it goes away. And listen, it's just not the NBA season. It's just not the NBA dog. It's too many games in the NBA not to have a stud on your team. It just is, man. So I'm sorry. Until I see a quarterback like that and you prove it, it's just not enough. The NFL is fleeting. It lasts for so long, but since you only play one game, it's fleeting. So I'm taking Mike every day. Every day is a one.
That's fair enough. I disagree with some of your points, but overall, that's why I brought it up, because those would be by far the top two things I would want to happen in Chicago.
If you telling me I could sit, dude, if you telling me the Bulls, let's just say hypothetically, that we don't even know.
Yeah, number 4, they get the best player in the draft who's going to be a star.
We're watching him next year, this fall season. We're like, wait, hold up. He may be the best. It's kind of look, and it's not the same.
Like Donovan Mitchell coming out.
But greater than that, because we never looked at Donovan Mitchell as –
But how he had that effect immediately where it was like, this dude's a player for real.
Like, dude, and it's not the same because the season is so short. But, like, it was parts of this year, dog, watching Luis Robert, where it was like, damn, this dude going to be a top 5. He may be top 3 in the MLB in a few years or whatever, right? But a basketball player has the ball in his hands. Like, a pitcher isn't stopping him from getting from catching wreck. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can catch wreck because he has the ball in his hands, right? So it's just no. Listen, I know that it's great for you being younger than me, because that statistically says that you should live longer than me, right? So it's like, hey, I'm young. I'm going to be here. You're going to be gone, right? I wish you saw Jordan score.
I would probably trade that too.
There was nothing like it, dog. It was nothing.
God, you want to move me up maybe, I don't know, 7, 10 years, something like that?
It was nothing.
Hey, then I could have maybe saw 85, and that would have been the only Bears championship ever.
It was sweet, too. I was young, but it was dope. It was dope as hell.
That's what I'm worried about. I might not see that.
It was before the internet, and they were everywhere, Ryan. Everywhere. I'm not even joking. They were national. They had won the Super Bowl, dog, like by week 14. It was like, they already won it already. Like, that's just how crazy it was.
That's why I keep saying, if you want to be immortal as a player, like a quarterback, win in Chicago.
Oh, it would be, dude.
You're immortal at that point.
You're right. Deshaun Watson would be a legend if the Bears had drafted him. And listen, we would still sit there and lament that they didn't get Patrick Mahomes, but we'd be like, forget that. That's IMF right there, right? Like, he would be a legend, especially just how gritty he is. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, man, look how tough he is. That's Chicago tough. Like, he would be a legend. So I'm with you. If you're a great quarterback and you can win it here, let alone win 2 of them, you won 2 of them here.
Yeah. if you're in the argument as one of the best quarterbacks ever, just in the argument, not even at the top. But, man, this is one of the – like how Aaron Rodgers, he's never going to have the ring. But, man, he is one of the best quarterbacks. You're going to go down in history forever. Like, that is how big of a deal it would be to lead the Bears as a quarterback to Super Bowls.
Right. It's not even –
this fan base would lose their friggin' mind, and we stretch across the nation.
I was just going to say that. It wouldn't even just be this fan base, even though this fan base is nationwide, like you're saying, and partially due to 85 and Walter Payton. But also – and Gale Sayers. But also the fact that ESPN, because the joke is the Bears have never had a quarterback. Nationally, it's known the Bears haven't had a quarterback. I can imagine them keeping – how's it to be the quarterback of Chicago Bears? You know, that's linebacker you, running back. Like, it would be crazy. But, again, if I had my druthers, give me the basketball player. Kobe!
On the Bulls.
Give me the basketball player, man. Listen, you listen, man. It's like, oh, boy. Look, but basketball is such the soul of the city, and it hurts me to drive past basketball courts and not seeing people out there like when I was a kid. I didn't grow up on the west side. I would think it's the same. But on the south side, and, man, I played football. And we played football. Like, we play football in the wintertime in the snow, play tackle football out here on the south side. So we love our football. But, man, basketball, man, that's some serious business in Chicago. So –
and it's unfortunate the Bulls have been so terrible.
And haven't been able to lure one of their own as far as players from Chicago into back here to Madison on the west side. But yeah, I would go basketball players. So good ones. Those are some real good up for grabs, Ryan.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
All right. If you got any up for grabs you would like to give to Ryan, email us at That Davis Show, and we will add those to the show. If you have any ideas or any thoughts that you want us to discuss, we definitely appreciate it. We will be back. We haven't had a flip in a couple of weeks. We'll be back with the flip this weekend. Ryan, Sydney, and I will be back this weekend to bring you some hijinks, probably with some political satire, to say the least. You stay safe out there in this COVID environment, and just in general, stay safe with everything that's going on. We always appreciate it.